So we're here with Jay Adelson at Digg. We had a delicious breakfast and discussed your nerd background, which I had no idea.
I am, in fact, a nerd.
Yeah, because Digg is so sexy. I had no idea you were involved in netcom and all the sort of innards of the internet in your early years and stuff.
I was tired of being the guy behind the scenes, and I wanted to actually use the thing I helped build.
Oh, well, good idea, good idea. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about Digg and where it's going and where news on the internet is going. It's a topic I'm very fascinated with. Talk to me about how you look at Digg, like a company like Digg at this point. You know, very successful, very getting a lot of attention.
Well, it's popular.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 27 million monthly uniques, so it's growing well.
And
I think it's because people love to have their media be theirs instead of handed to them through a few editors.
Right. Well, they're taking media and repurposing it essentially, or removing it around, or reshifting it.
But it has a sort of a feedback process, because when you see what the people actually want to read and what they actually are interested in, the editors of these publications, I think, listen to that and see that.
They don't listen to that, but that's okay. They should. That's a
I think some do. I think you'd be surprised.
What do you know? Digg's known for being sort of. We talked a little about being known for tech, just tech and a sort of mob mentality. How do you tell me what you think about that?
Well, Digg now is, I think, less than 12% of our page views are technology related. So our homepage is geeky.
46% is Britney Spears, right?
Well, there's actually World and Business dominates. Dominates Digg. And politics is big. You know,
and we'll get
election
bigger
year.
this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Videos is huge. But I think the point is that Digg isn't one group. It's really a bunch of micro communities of real passionately engaged micro communities. It's not like one group of gamers or something. It's an incredible rich array of people.
And why do people think it's a mob mentality from your perspective?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, they're noisy. It's certainly a noisy community.
Right. It's like any time you empower the public and you allow any voice, some airtime, a squeaky wheel is going to get heard, right? And so I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding where if you hear a few people on Digg very loudly, they assume that the 27 million others all sort of represent that voice. There's a disconnect there. There is definitely crowd wisdom and crowd dynamics going on Digg, and I think that that's an interesting thing to study, but I wouldn't call it mob mentality.
Okay, now let's talk about where it's going. Digg was sort of the quintessential Web 2.0 company. There's been many following since. Where do you go from here, from a Digg perspective? Obviously, you could sell the company, you could be independent yourself. No, but not just that, because rumors are rumors. Every company's for sale. I'm not thinking that you're in a bidding war, for example. But we'll not get into that. But the idea is, what happens with these Web 2.0 companies? A lot of them are feature laden. Digg is huge comparatively, but what happens in this era now?
Well, I mean, the ones that are actual business models, that actually have sustainable financials and can make it. I mean, they'll continue to persevere through the market downturn. They're popular. They're gaining in popularity. I just think there are a lot of Web 2, whatever you want to call them, companies that are really applications or their features, and if they hadn't been bought already, I think a lot of them are going to die out in the next year or so.
It's interesting because there's not the public markets. They used this sort of that last disaster of Web 1.0,
right?
Where there's
a little bit more sustainable now. I mean, you can sort of go to burn, and then no one will notice when you quietly disappear. It's something, though, that depresses me a little bit, because there's so many incredibly good ideas, and this whole the new web sort of, it's not a new technology, it's a awareness of the value of integrating apps online and all this collaboration. And so if we could just use some of these things and integrate them into our websites, particularly the larger websites, the big guys out there, if they can integrate this stuff, then these guys could last and people could see the value.
Sure, because it's a lot about collaboration, user involvement, and things like that, which Digg is sort of well known for. Digg has changed sort of news in a lot of ways. Where do you see news going? I work for a big old news company, and we're definitely making changes, but what is going to happen in the next, if you had a pontificate?
Well, I think that people are going to finally figure out that blogs are in fact just another newspaper, and that in fact there are journalists out there who write blogs.
Yeah, that's me. Go ahead. I'm it.
And the ones that are not, will continue to live as islands and not be read. This sort of assumption that blogs are not real journalism, I think, is going to die.
Yeah, I think they are.
I think Digg does its job in terms of elevating quality, accuracy, good reporting, journalistic ethics. I think all of that matters to our community. And I have to admit, when we started Digg, I didn't know what would matter to the community.
Right. Of course,
but
you don't know where the crowd is going to go.
Well, right, but truth and ethics and all of these things.
So what does a big media company do in the face of all this? Because that's what, say the Journal is known for that, for example. The New York Times is known for that. There's a lot of media companies that are sort of struggling right now. Newspapers are down substantially. Revenues are down. It's a bad situation for a lot of them.
Well, what's their asset? Their asset is incredible, creative journalists, right, and editors. And they need to focus on continuing to empower those people to create great content. But the way that they expose their content online has to shift. It can't be everyone has to come to me.
Right.
It needs to be through distribution networks. It needs to be less about this sort of walled garden mentality and more about sort of an open platform. And also, to some extent, if you love something, set it free. When they come to the big media site, expose the other stuff on the other sites. Right. The users will appreciate it, and they'll come back.
Yeah, it's something I'm pushing a lot at the Journal, but it's hard. I mean, I think it's hard when you're sort of been operating in this competitive Wall Street Journal versus the New York Times. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
To try to be that kind of aggregator.
Well, it's a slow shift, but I see it happening. We talk to the big media players all the time, and we're really proud of the fact that that's starting to become accepted. And the other piece is that on those destination sites, which are still very valuable, I still go to those destination sites myself, start to incorporate the user view of what is interesting. And also start to develop this mentality that isn't locked to the publication cycle of the early morning and late afternoon, which they've been in for 1,000 years. Now a real-time publication cycle with a real-time zeitgeist of what's going on becomes interesting to that destination site, and if you don't put that on there, you're going to miss out on capturing the interest of frankly, this new online news gathering.
Interesting idea. Now listen, what's the biggest hype thing? Last question.
Biggest hype thing?
Yeah, what's going on now? I mean, I wouldn't say Digg is hype necessarily, but a lot of stuff in Web 2.0 is. What do you look at and go, oh, good God?
Oh, man, there's so many things that I go, good God.
Pick one.
You're putting me on the spot.
All right, what thing do you like a lot? What thing do you think is most exciting? Briefly. Okay. Running out of time here.
All right, I think the most exciting thing is internet video right now. What you're doing right this second.
Really? Yeah, because I'm using
I'm a little biased.
Really, but my high production qualities, my makeup team behind me and everything. Oh, yes. Revision 3, absolutely.
Don't forget about Revision 3.
I will not. I'll try not to forget about it. I watch it religiously every day.
You should.
All the time.
Pop Siren's a great new show. You should check it out.
Excellent, Jay. And on that, thank you so much.
All right, bye.